Hey everyone, welcome back. So for USF 2000, we are at Brands Hatch, the Indy track, and which means the shorter variation of this track. This track is only around 45 seconds to 48 seconds per lap. So it's a very short track. You'll probably get upwards around 20 laps or so in a 15-minute sprint race. So expect to see a lot of traffic, but also watch out for the off tracks as well. I know I was super close to getting disqualified because of the number of incidents, number of off tracks I was getting. I was really pushing to the edge, trying to find where the time was, and I was able to get some good time, 45.3. So it is I would say, a very tricky track because of how many curves and trail braking sections there are. There's not really any section that's really straight. Everything you do is under some sort of lateral load, whether you're on the throttle or on the brake, or sometimes you're darting left and then darting right. So as you're braking, let's go through and take a look at the hot lap, and then we'll pause at each section and walk you through some of the details. So into turn one is not even straight. It's a sort of a long sweeper with a very big dip. So you have to be careful on the brakes and careful on where you apply the throttle, and as you can lose a lot of time, or you could spin out. And into turn two here, you saw I ran wide, but I actually managed to get a lot of speed. And then turn three, and then this is a really interesting chicane section where a lot of people lose a lot of time. I don't know if you noticed, but I can actually take it flat, and then you go into this right long unwinding corner and then back onto the home stretch, and that's it. It's a very short lap, as I mentioned. And take a look at here where I entered the turn into turn one actually a lot sooner than the previous lap, and into turn two I take a very tight apex, and this remarkably is actually a slower lap time than the last one. And I'm still trying to figure out exactly why, but let me show you some of the details. So let's go back into lap 19 it is. Okay, so lap 19, I'm braking into the corner around the 60-75 mark, and then I brake, I would say one gear change or two gear change, and then as your nose tuck in to the curb, I start hitting the gas super early here before I even hit the apex, mostly because of that big dip. You're actually going to turn in again at the very bottom of the hill. So you actually want to gas in so early that it feels like you're going to overshoot the corner. So you can tell I'm full throttle already here, and it looks like I'm going to overshoot, but as soon as I hit the bottom of the hill here, you notice the car turns again and tucks in, and that's perfect because this curb is super bumpy. I don't want to be on it, so just putting two left wheels there, perfect. You don't want to be riding it down the middle. If you do skip over it and end up on this left section here, that's totally fine. Just dart back in at the end here, because I've noticed this sort of bumpy section really unsettles the car. So anyway, after turn one, we go downhill, and then I brake around the 50 mark. And at the 50 mark, in this case, I actually overshoot the corner a little bit. But what's interesting is that I can then take a very wide line, and because of how tight this corner is, and the next corner is a quick left, then I actually am able to straighten out the next little bit, and I'm able to gain a lot of speed because look, I am full throttle all the way, like I would say 60-70% of the power here already, whereas if I'm on the inside, I'm probably at best maybe half throttle. So let's compare. I'm gonna go to the next lap where I do a tight apex. I'm on the brakes, and then a little bit of gas, half gas. And then I'm still waiting for the car to tuck in. I'm like feathering the throttle, coasting a little bit just to get the nose to tuck in, half throttle. And then I actually get too much throttle because of how tight the turn is and it dips away. So I actually get oversteered despite having just half throttle. And then I actually have to counter steer and smash the gas to not spin out. And because of that, I actually lose a lot of time in like doing a tight apex turn, like disregarding the fact that, you know, I did some oversteer. So if I actually look at lap 18, this is where I think I took a tight apex as well, and I didn't oversteer. You notice I'm still not on the full throttle here, and I don't get there until at this point where I am exiting the corner at 70 miles an hour. Whereas on lap 19 here, yeah, it looks like I overshoot the corner, but let's see, I exit at around 75 because I've been on the throttle for this long, right? This extra stretch I'm full throttle on. So different ways you can make the corner, but I would say this corner you probably want to take on the inside because somebody could dive down the inside and have track position and pass you. But for a time trial or qualifying, you could give this a shot and see what you think. But what's really interesting is that this track allows you to have really good racing because you can take different lines and not lose too much time. So anyway, enough about this corner. So as soon as I exit this, you want to be on the right hand side. So you want to brake when there is a little bit of sort of brick curbing here, and then come back in. I touched a little apex here, and then in here, you can actually just run wide, so wide that it's unbelievably wide. This brick section here somehow is all considered part of the track. There's no off track for you to do this, which is insane to me. You're literally 2 car widths away from the asphalt, but somehow you're a part of the track. As long as you get back before the little curb, you have to get back to the track within the thick curb, then you're okay. And then you come back onto the track, and this is where I think a lot of people lose time. I actually take this full, like, flat out, but it really depends on whether you can get the turn in perfect, because I turn in right at the 50, kiss the curb a little bit and ride that through. But if you turn in slightly later, I think you might have to lift. So you want to take this turn flat out on the throttle, but as soon as you get back to the right hand side of the curb, I would slow down and start getting ready to brake. I would say right where the end of the curb is about, well, when the grass is about to start and near the end of that curb, you start braking, and I would brake lighter because you're still turning at this time, and brake light, don't spin the car, and then as you straighten out a little bit, brake heavier, and then as you start turning, lighten up the braking again. And then if your car slides, let it slide a little bit as long as you're confident you can catch it, and then use it to help you turn in. If you don't slide, that's fine, that's perfect. You want to slowly roll along the throttle and get on the throttle as early as possible. You want to do that because this part here is full throttle all up until turn 1, meaning this is your opportunity to pass. This is the opportunity to get past. You need to be fast in the fast bit. So very important section. So there you have it. That's 1 lap. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that helps you. I was able to get a fairly competitive race. I was in P2 for most of the race until I spun out and made a mistake, and I ended up in P5. But that's entirely my fault. It has nothing to do with the lap time. But very easy to make mistakes here on this track. If you put one wheel onto the grass, you can go for a spin. But other than that, I hope this track guide helps you. I think you'll have a fairly competitive time if you can get somewhere near 45.3. So thank you so much. Give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed this, or if you found this helpful, or subscribe if you're new to this channel. Thank you so much. Bye for now.